So in Nigeria, you can actually be acquitted and then you still refund money. Let that sit right down there because Stella Oduah has been acquitted, free, discharged, case closed. And this is becoming a pattern in Nigeria, a pattern that is so familiar. It almost feels like it's a policy. And today, that pattern is named again Stella Oduah. So who is Stella Oduah? Stella was a former minister under Goodluck Jonathan. She was a two-term senator. So let's rewind what actually happened. So Stella Oduah was a minister of aviation under Goodluck Ebele Jonathan at a time where Nigeria was so eager to look like the rest of the world, at a time where we talked about modernization, airport reforms. But somewhere along that progress, a different story was quietly boarding. A scandal. A scandal linked to the famous bulletproof cars controversy. Questions about procurement surfaced. And as always, we had noise, we had the outrage, then followed by silence, and that slipped away. So fast forward, she became a senator, two-time senator from 2015 to 2023. Now let's pause. She continued in that office despite the allegations. So what now changed? 2.5 billion naira fraud resurfaced. Now note, this did not happen when she was a senator. The alleged fraud traces back to her time as Minister of Aviation, the very period that we overlooked while she was elevated to the next position as a senator. So what was the allegation all about? The government said the money was taken from the Federal Ministry of Aviation. It was also alleged that it was obtained from companies like Broadwater Resources. The claim was that the funds were for technical supervision and related services. So where does the Senate role come into this? She became a senator in 2015 after leaving her ministerial position. So the case now resurfaced in 2025 to 2026. That is the timeline we are trying to register. So 2025 December, she was arraigned. March 26, she seeks a plea bargain. And just like that, the story begins to bend. Now she makes a refund. There's a settlement of about 1.5 billion return. Now listen carefully because we are going somewhere with this conversation. Now, in Stella's case, she seek plea bargain deal, meaning that although she challenged the case officially in court, but she settled for resolution and settlement. Then what is wrong with this? It is not the plea bit, but the outcome. Because plea bargain usually means two things: conviction on a reduced charge or charges withdrawn after meeting certain conditions, like refunding money. But in most systems, it doesn't always end with acquitted. And that is what I'm talking about here in this video. What does acquitted mean? It actually means that the court examined the case and found no guilt. Usually this comes after a full trial. But in Stella's case, there was no full trial because she settled for a plea bargain deal. So what we had in Stella's case is not a full courtroom session that ended in clear verdict. It was challenged and transitioned into negotiation. A negotiation that involved conditions which include returning of money. And that is what I'm trying to register in this conversation. So when we now arrived at the word acquitted, maybe acquitted in the courtroom, but definitely not in terms of this case. Because I don't have to be a law student to know that you cannot negotiate part payment for something and then be acquitted of not taking part in that thing at all. 1.5 billion naira returned. Now she's acquitted of 2.5 million naira fraud. Now pause, because we cannot stand in two places at once. We cannot say nothing happened and then let's make payment, part payment for what happened. But in Nigeria, of course, we've mastered that balance. And just like that, the system itself resets itself. So the Nigerian system is actually telling you, take the risk. If it works, you can keep it. If it fails, you negotiate, return something, move on, and move to the next level. And to just add the icing on the cake, it is rumored that Stella Oduah is warming up for 2027, another Senate run. Maybe a fresh start for Stella. Maybe it's time we pause and remember, because as students of history, we don't just watch events, we document them. We write them down carefully. We keep them safe in our archives because there was a time in a country called Nigeria where innocence and reform walked side by side. It is a truth at a time. Take care and have a nice day.